Hi everyone. Today I'm going to explain how to divide an object into multiple groups or subsets, I guess, in Milkshape. The first thing you're going to want to do is open up your object in Milkshape. If you haven't already, definitely check out 10 Little Pandas 42 tutorial because that will explain how to convert an object from The Sims 4. Alright, after opening up your mesh, you'll want to rename the group because everything automatically shows up as default, and if you add more than like one object file, it will group it together as one. So in order to kind of like mitigate that, we're just going to write, well, anything really. I just put surface for now because that's what I'm used to. And then we will import the shadow object while we're here. Same thing. I will always rename it to ground shadow because that's what it's usually called in SimPE. So now we're going to start regrouping things. I'm also going to add the texture to make it easier to visualize. Real quick, if you don't know how to do this, you go into materials, you click new, make sure you select the entire object as well. Then you're going to click none and then add in your texture image. Click assign and voila, you got a texture object. Now we're going to first figure out what we want to separate into two different subsets. I'm going to do the frame, which is like all of the wooden area that you see, and then any pattern part I'm going to try to separate and make its own subset so you can recolor them differently. The easiest way I found to do this is by clicking select, and under select options, I have it set as face, ignore back faces, and by vertex. So then you're just going to click and drag what you want. The first thing I'm going to do is this little drawer section, and this is what you would love to see. It's exactly the drawer that is being selected, nothing more, nothing less. Then you go back over here to groups, and you just hit the regroup button. You can hide it to double check and make sure that nothing else was accidentally selected. Now, I'm not going to rename it just yet because it's a little different. If you select and regroup more stuff from here, it'll regroup separately, so you don't have to worry so much about the names yet. Anyway, now that we have the drawer selected, this is going to be a little bit harder and it's going to be this top layer right here. So as you can see, this looks like a nightmare to work with, but you get used to it pretty quickly. It's important to note as well that if you left click on any of these panels, you can change the projection of the object or how you're viewing it. This is the front view, the back view, the left, right, top, bottom, and 3D is this on my bottom right corner right here. I have mine set to front up here, and this will make it easier to select something from the top. Because if I did it from like the side angles, I would be selecting all of these faces as well. We're going to check since I have no idea if this is too much or too little. Click regroup and we can see that sure enough it took off the top layer. I don't know why there's like this second layer of pink because it was like that on the other table I was converting in this set. Sorry, that's not important for you, but yeah, you can tell with the texture what's missing and what's not. It's a lot easier than an object with no texture on it. That's why I think it's handy to include it. Oops, we're gonna hide that. I think it's a good idea to hide the shadow mesh first thing, by the way, just so you don't like select it by accident. Here's what I grabbed. You can see here that there's this edge, like trim along the plaid. I don't want to include that because that'll change colors with the wood. But here you can see that it's a lot easier to manage and see what you're looking at than with everything in the way. Now we're just going to try to select the innermost lines, and you can definitely zoom in. I suggest using the shift button and the mouse wheel to do so. It's a lot quicker and I think it's a little easier to see. So I just kind of select everything and then press shift and left click in order to drag and remove certain sections one at a time. You can kind of just go along each dot there and that will, deselect it for you. I'm just going to go all around, and sometimes it's not easy, Sometimes it doesn't want to deselect right away, but you just gotta have patience, and little by little, you'll get it all. So that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to regroup again and press hide, and yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted. There's still this bottom piece, which I'm pretty sure is not a big deal if it's included in one group or the other, but that's just because I think it's going to be hidden. But, sometimes you just like the peace of mind. So it's pretty obvious to me that this is probably just going to be a big giant square in here. So I'm going to assume it's this square. Here might get a little complicated, especially just looking at this top section right here. That would be hard. But that's why you have all these other projections. You can see if you're selecting something you don't want to, and boom, you got your square. Oh wait, that wasn't it. See, this is why it's helpful because I don't always get it right the first time. I'm just control Zing until we're back here where we started. All right, I thought it was a square, but I was wrong. I mean, it is a square, but it's actually this one right here. It's the bigger square from the two. We're just going to regroup that and see how that goes. Now it's starting to look like a lot going on over here. So we're going to grab all the wooden pieces. I think it's just two. So we're going to select those and we're going to regroup. It's going to be the bottom one right here. It'll always be the last, the one with the bigger number. Then we're going to rename, and I'm actually going to rename it to frame because it's ideal to rename it the subset that's in SimPE. It's just a few seconds shaved off because in SimPE you're going to have to, well, I'll show you when we get there. How about that? This is everything that's going to be in my second subset. Now that I've selected all of it, we're going to regroup again, and this one I'm going to name my second subset, which is cushion. Now you can see here that everything is in its own grouping here, and SimPE only allows 2 recolorable subsets, so here's my 2. Frame, which is the wood color, and cushion, which is the pattern color. And the ground shadow, of course, that's still here, unharmed. And that's pretty much it. You got 2 subsets in one object. If you want to put this in your game, you're going to want to export it, wavefront object. I usually just put like V1. If I need to do more adjustments to it, I can just go V2, V3, and so on. Then you'll want to open up SimPE. I don't have the package file ready yet, but just as an example, I'll show you how I did it for the table before. You can't see the texture right now because it's repoed, but anyway, here you would import, and then you would put your latest object that you want to import, and you click open. You'll get this mesh importer group, and you'll click replace on each of these. Well, first of all, because I already have the correct subset names, it will just automatically fill it into the correct subset. If it's named something different, then I think it'll just have a blank box, and you just have to click the drop down menu, click the corresponding subset, and press OK. It's not a big deal if you don't have the subsets named correctly. I don't always do it because, I don't always know what the subset is called exactly. Some subsets are just kind of like ridiculously long in their name. So, if that's the case, you just have to remember to go to this drop down menu and click on the correct subset. All right, I think that's pretty much it. I hope this helps, or, maybe you just learned something new. But thank you so much for watching. Bye!